I think the last time you were doing the rounds of media interviews, you were saying that you were still studying the position. You were abroad when you heard of your appointment, I believe, and you haven't yet talked to the president. And at the time, right? Now you've been back. You've made some initial assessments, right? And we saw you at the State of the Nation address. So how do you see the problem as of now? I mean, based on your preliminary evaluation.
Yes, as you have observed, no president has really solved the poverty problem. But the target of President Bongbong Marcos is at least to cut it in half at the least. And the 18% would be reduced to at least a single-digit incidence of poverty. Now, it's very simple. Some people in the poorest of the poor do not have money to buy food. Bakit walang pera? It's because they lack job. And bakit walang trabaho? Kasi probably they lack education or skills training. So, and there are no available jobs for them. And even at the height of 95.7% of employment rate now, which is a good indication, and 4.3% only are unemployed among our employable workers.
Right.
56% of these figures, of these employable workers are in the service sector.
Okay.
And you know, in service sector, mga yan na dyan yung mga temporary, casual, and seasonal jobs. So therefore, even if they can work for 3-6 months, another 3 months, they have no jobs again. And paikot-ikot na lang sila. So, ang service sector, which comprises around 56% of the workforce, must be rechanneled to industrial and agricultural sectors. And in the industrial sector, there is only 28% of the industrial sector and only 18% in the agricultural sector. We are claiming to be a country, an agricultural country, and yet our workforce comprises only 18% of the agricultural sector. So therefore, what we should do is to rechannel our efforts into increasing the jobs in the industrial sector and in the agricultural sector. And this is how you solve poverty. Poverty naman kasi, it doesn't mean that you are looking only at the street beggars or those poorest of the poor, but also even those who are earning and those who are working, particularly underemployed, like those people in the job of tricycle drivers, jeepney drivers, truck drivers, construction workers, waiters. Kasi yan, although may trabaho sila, the income that they get is very low, that they can hardly sustain the basic needs for food, shelter, healthcare, and education.
So substandard quality of life.
Yes. And so that is my concern. So we are going to rechannel our efforts and our focus into providing our people with permanent jobs and permanent source of livelihood.
Now, we were talking earlier. Has this problem been at the back of your mind? I know you wanted to run for public office. I'm sure because just like any person who does that, they have these programs, they want to benefit people. But you were saying that you did not ask for this particular assignment.
Yes.
But could you give us a little background on, maybe how this task now aligned with some of the things you had wanted to do if you were in elected office?
During the campaign, we were together with President Bongbong Marcos and our team, the UNI team. We are 12 senatorial candidates, and every time there is a rally and there is a meeting, I discuss my ideas, my plans before the crowd. So napapakinggan naman yun ni Presidente, and he finds them the ideas probably useful.
I see.
So, kagaya ng mga dinidiscuss ko about the rice post-harvest system, the cold chain facility, especially on provinces which are considered as food basket. Pero mahihina ang mga
They produce the
support
food
system.
and yet they go hungry.
Yes, maraming ganun eh.
Yeah.
And so, probably because of those ideas that when President Bongbong Marcos thought of appointing somebody for the PAPA position, the Presidential Advisor for Poverty Alleviation, ako yung naisipan niya.
I see.
So,
I see.
Because ano naman tayo. And sabi ng iba, bakit daw ako? Ano naman daw kinalaman ng lawyer doon sa trabaho na yun? What they don't know is that in my entire professional career, I work more as a corporate executive, 80% to 90%, rather than a lawyer.
Okay.
My practice is very minimal as a lawyer.
Okay. Now, yeah, we'll go back to that in a little while, and I want to ask first again what you see, as the problem. Maybe it's good for us to be on the same page here. When you say you want to alleviate poverty, are we talking about, obviously, as you said, the government definition of poverty?
Yes.
Right? Because, people get confused. SWS comes out with this self-rated poverty, which to me sounds more like relative poverty, right? How you are compared to another person, or maybe how you are compared to your situation the previous year. And then there's also extreme poverty, which the UN is looking to eradicate. That's living on $1 to $2 a day. What are you looking at? Are you looking at the government, or are you looking at a combination of these things? Or what's the focus basically?
Well, basically the focus is to create more jobs for our countrymen, especially those who are under the poverty level.
Okay.
And the definition of poverty is those who are earning less than 12,500 a month in a family of five members.
Right.
Yes, and actually that is a very low estimate.
As you said, low quality of living.
Yes, and I have also read the report of the United Nations on poverty incidents. In fact, that is the #1 global concern now.
Yeah.
Probably because of the post-pandemic era.
Right.
Talaga namang naghirap tayo ng husto noong time of pandemic worldwide.
Right.
So, naging #1 concern ngayon yan, yung poverty.
Yeah.
And that is why President Bongbong Marcos is trying to solve this poverty incidents by cutting it by half, by at least half at the end of his term. And that is a very tall and marching order now.
Right. I heard you mention that earlier. Cut it by half, but you also mentioned something like 18%. Is that where we are now?
That is where we at now.
Okay, because
that is translated to 3.5 million families.
Right, because before, I think for most of the era after World War II until I think GMA's time, it was 30%. I think it went down quite significantly during President Duterte's time. But the last figure I saw was something like 22% before the pandemic.
Yes.
And I was assuming that, the pandemic, because it had such an enormous impact, diba? That it may have erased some of those gains that Duterte was able to make.
Yes, that is why we are now at 18%.
Okay.
And that is roughly 20 million Filipinos living under poverty levels.
And so when you say you want to cut it by half, you want to cut it by 9%, that's a marching order from the president?
Yes.
By 2028, I presume?
Yes.
Okay.
And those who will be benefited from these programs are those living under what we call subsistence poverty.
Okay.
Those are the people who really cannot afford to buy food.
This is the extreme.
Yes, the extreme
poor, the food poor. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there is already a response of the government on that aspect. We now have the Secretary Rex Gatchalian of DSWD has designed these food stamps.
Right.
And it is a very good response to this subsistence level of poverty incidents.
Right. Do you think the government is still lacking on some programs? Because we have feeding programs, I believe by DepEd. You mentioned DSWD has programs, the food stamps among them, and of course the 4Ps.
Yes.
Right. And the LGUs, they have their own programs. Ano pa bang kulang? What else is missing in the mix, you think?
I think it's more on work.
Okay.
More on stable source of livelihood.
Okay.
Oh.
So giving them jobs, as you said,
Yes.
is key.
Yes.
Okay.
That is the key.
Now, speaking of jobs, your office, have you completed your team, or are you looking to hire? Maybe you can help some people who are underemployed.
Well, I have. I'm still setting up my office
Okay.
because Mabini Hall in Malacanang is
Okay.
now being reconstructed or
Okay.
demolished and retrofitted.
Okay.
So almost all of the offices in Mabini Hall in Malacanang has already went outside.
Right.
They are renting offices outside.
Right.
And I am now in the process of looking for an office that will be rented.
Yeah.
So that we can start our work. But I have already started working.
Yeah.
I have already talked to a lot of consultants and LGUs, and I have looked into several studies already.
Okay.
And this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
I will schedule a meeting with several agencies that are involved in poverty alleviation, like the NAPSI.
Okay.
And the DSWD,
Yeah.
the Urban Poor,
Yes.
Commission on Urban Poor,
Yes.
and Commission on Indigenous People.
Right.
I would like to focus also on the BARM because it was found out that the lowest
yeah.
incident of poverty
It's
is
in BARM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to find out.
Yeah. Secretary, we have to take a quick break, but maybe can be quick, very quickly. You have all of these things going in motion, but what can we expect as the first milestone from your office? Are we looking at maybe 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road, or maybe somewhere in between those periods?
Yes, I have designed this BBM program, BBM nutrition program,
Feeding.
Batang Busog Malusog
Yeah.
nutrition program, because it was found out in a study that the reason why our young students lack the proper education is because they cannot absorb the lessons. Their cognitive functions of their brains
Yeah.
are affected by lack of nutrition, and they go to school hungry.
Yeah.
So I have designed this program, the BBM nutrition program, which is very unique and very different from what the DSWD is doing.
Okay.
Because this will not involve government money.
Yes.
I am going to link up with several big companies to make this feeding or nutrition program as their corporate social responsibility.
You mentioned civil society groups like Rotary, other groups like that.
Yes,
right?
like that.
Yeah. So
And there is already a big company that has already partnered with me.
Okay.
And in one of these days, or probably next week or at first week of August, we are going to sign our memorandum of agreement.
Okay, that's the first milestone. We'll be right back with Secretary Larry Gadon. This is Business of Politics. Please stay tuned.